From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update. Your weekend weather update is made possible by Caltrans District 2.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Hey folks, good evening. Hope you have been well so far this weekend. We're shaping up for much nicer conditions, at least in the outdoor sense, for the next several days. Temperatures in the 50s in the valley. A lot of us are going to be in the mid to upper 30s for lows though, so we might even see some of that frost. We had reports of frost last night as well, unsurprisingly, so wouldn't shock me if we creep that back into the area through the next 12 hours. Tomorrow though, really starting to see that warming trend, right? Today was the beginning of it. That's what I was talking about earlier this afternoon in the morning, and we only see that sustaining into tomorrow. Notice those upper 80s creeping in here in the valley. You know, I really don't think a lot of us will see 90 tomorrow quite just yet. I think Tuesday is probably going to be the day where we start to see those widespread, but it wouldn't shock me if some of us start to flirt with that range with 87s to 88s creeping on in here. Give it 1 to 2 degrees of wiggle room. See those 80s out in Trinity County and eastern Humboldt County as well. So the western portions of Siskiyou County. The rest of us are going to be in the lower 70s and maybe upper 60s out there up towards Modoc County and along the coast as well. But those of us up here in the northeastern portions of the area in the eastern mountains will be warming up too over the next several days because of that ridge of high pressure keeping us relatively clear, maybe a little mid-level moisture that manifests in terms of clouds, but that ridge is sinking that air so sustainably that it doesn't really matter if we get a little cloud cover here. That's not enough to make a huge difference in the forecast at all. These systems stay off to the north for the end of the week. We're doing great for those outdoor conditions. It's going to be sunscreen weather here as we head through the next 7 days. Let's break it down here. 7-day forecast fresh from the Weather NorCal Command Center. On the coast, we're starting to hone in on a solution of about 60 on average for the next few days. That's about typical for these ridge patterns here. A little bit of cloud cover there. Marine layer is going to be whipping just a little bit. Head a little further inland though, and you got those 80s steady through the next 7 days. Out towards Trinity County as well, mid 80s, maybe even upper 80s by the end of the week. And you know, I mentioned this at 12 o'clock, but if you didn't see that show, I'm starting to think Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be the warmest days of the week. So originally I was talking about midweek, but I'm starting to think the second half of the week will be the warmer of the next 5 to 6 days. Out towards Mount Shasta City, Modoc County, out towards the eastern mountains as well. Hey, look right there. You see those 80s I was talking about? That's about a good 10 to 15 degree trend from the next day or two, right? Notice as we head through tomorrow in Alturas, for example, you saw that there earlier, we'll be about in the upper 60s. Those turn to 70s and 80s really quickly. Let's take a look at the valley. Redding out here. Look at those 90s coming back in. By the end of the week, you know, it wouldn't necessarily shock me if a couple of us hit mid-90s. I think we're definitely heading into this more summer-like pattern, at least for the next 7 days. And that's kind of why I call it, you know, that tank top shorts and sunscreen weather. You're going to need to stay hydrated if you're going outside for the next few days. It's definitely May. We're definitely kicking in to this late spring, early summer-like pattern across the area.